Yeah. What's up, everybody? I'm Metal Nick.
I'm Jeff Grindstoffer.
And welcome to episode number 18 of Vinyl Bang. Today we have our another special guest with us. Mr. Alex Shaw from Pig Destroyer is joining us today.
All right, up, Alex Shaw. Woo!
Yeah. Very nice to meet you both.
I had a list of bands to go down, but we just shortened it to Pig Destroyer. But Alex and I have a long history. We used to work with each other many years ago, and then just being good friends over the years of concerts, hanging out in all the houses he's lived in. And Jeff, and I'm sure through all the years of seeing Pig Destroyer, has known Alex as well, right?
Yeah, Alex and I, we've known each other for about... Yeah. I mean, we've known each other for about 10 years-ish, 10 or 12 years maybe.
I feel like it's way more than that. It's been way more than 10 years, but yeah.
Either way, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
I'm very stoked to discuss my favorite things with my favorite people. Very, very looking forward to this. Big fan of the show. The honor is mine.
Yeah, no, as soon as we started this show, you are obviously one of the first people that came to mind. It was just finding the right time, and it's, we're glad we got a week down to do this. So, or a free week of Alex's time. So we found a night, and we were set on this night, and let's do it. So, Alex, you chose the topics on this night, and
I believe we did.
We're gonna kick this off with you. The first one is albums from the year you were born.
Yes, I was born in 1985 AD, and in October of 85, Wasp released The Last Command. There is not one bad song on this record. All Wasp music videos are kind of legendary, but this one especially just speaks to me. Ball Crusher is probably my favorite song on the record. Blind in Texas, the video for that where they're racing armadillos.
Yeah, armadillos, hell yeah.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen the video, it's great. It's just a Wild West meets glam rock meets armadillo racing. It's great stuff. I believe this was the only record this specific lineup did. It's one of my favorite records from 1985, and that was my pick, The Last Command.
Hell yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love the Blind in Texas music video.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great song too, but yeah, that's a great album, man.
Yeah, I've only seen Wasp once, and it was kind of semi-recently. And unfortunately, they have become one of those bands where, only the singer is the sole member, and they have been using quite a bit of tape on stage, which kind of sucks. But hey, we still have The Last Command to listen to.
There you go.
Positive thinking.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, Blackie's a positive guy now, isn't he?
Some would say a little too positive.
Yeah.
Some would say a little. I know everyone.
You found that thing with the lowercase t.
Lowercase. I know that whenever people think of Wasp, they think of Animal off the first record, and how Blackie wouldn't touch that song for years because of the whole religious thing. But that's come back into the set since. But again, that's not even my favorite Wasp song. Every single song off this is. This is the definitive Wasp record.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Nick, what year were you born?
We'll get there in a second.
All right.
Jeff is up next.
All
right. So first off, let me say that this is a great category to bring up. Nick and I usually, whenever we try to come up with different ideas for episodes, and I couldn't do an entire episode about albums from the year I was born, but this was a good one. This was a really good topic. I was like, wow, an album from the year I was born.
I figured, we're guaranteed to do 3 different picks this way. So
Sure. No, absolutely. It kind of pisses me off because I am older than both of you, which
Oh, yeah.
I guess I guess it had to be one of us. But I digress. An album from the year that I was born in 1979. Pink Floyd, The Wall. I mean, I was ecstatic to find out that I actually got to do The Wall as my album for the year that I was born. This album, it on several different levels is good. I mean, it's just, it just, the track list is amazing. The accommodating movie is amazing. It just, there's huge productions of this. Recently, I can't remember if Gilmore has done his rendition of The Wall live, or who the members are that does this live, where they have the whole stage production and make a whole big
Usually
theatrical.
Roger Waters.
Roger Waters.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, this album is, for those of you who don't know, who were not born in 1979. Great album. This is something that, as Nick said in the which was it, with the record store day where you brought out Dark Side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Your parents probably listen to this album. Your grandparents probably listen to this album, and good for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Phenomenal album. Phenomenal.
That was one of the greatest songs they ever wrote. I'm totally with you.
Absolutely.
That's probably the first one that I ever listened to as a kid. I didn't really care about or listen to Dark Side of the Moon or Wish You Were Here or anything. My sister used to play that so much. We used to watch that movie so much because I think it was pretty fresh in the 80s. And just like, I feel like in the movie, there's this version of Empty Spaces that's like way more cool than what's on the album and any other soundtrack that I've ever seen before. So
that sounds right.
It fucking rules. It's like this, but that movie as a whole is just great, and the album especially. I mean, damn jealous. That's a good one, Alex. Jeff, that is a really good one. A good year to be born. Good album.
Good year to be born.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you.
All right. So to answer Charles' question earlier, I was born in the year 1981. And quite a few cool records came out that year, but like when it comes down to it, Rush Moving Pictures is probably the best album that came out the year I was born. Rush just in general is a fucking amazing band. I don't care what your opinion is of the vocals or whatever. These guys, every member of this band plays their instrument like better than anybody else. Like that's all. They're fucking incredible. Let's see here. Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight, The Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, Vital Signs. That's a really cool reggae song that they wrote because I guess Neil Peart was listening to a lot of The Police at the time. So this is a fucking great record. I mean, like I love Rush. It ain't my favorite Rush album, but this is a great album. This, for the year, as far as the year I was born, like Alex was saying, like not a single bad song on this record. This is a classic album. This is their ninth studio album, believe it or not. But it came out on Mercury Records. This is an obvious repress. I don't have it, I'm sure it's not hard to find an OG pressing. This album's been pressed a million times, but yeah, Rush. Can't say enough good things about this band. They're amazing. They really are.
True.
All right. The next subject is favorite live album. Again, great fucking picks here, Alex. This is
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Favorite live record. My pick is The Oath That Keeps Me Free by Earth Crisis. This happens to be an OG 98 pressing from Victory Records. What this contains is a 1997 Earth Crisis set from Syracuse, New York. That's the word, right? The track listing, which is I'm sure is just a picture of the set list. As you'll see, it's obviously all early Earth Crisis and a Cream cover. Fun fact: Smash or Be Smashed. One of the best. Sorry, my lighting is messed up. Smash or Be Smashed. A studio version of that song did not exist for years until there was a Decibel Flexi of it 1 or 2 years ago. But if you listen to this record, you can tell that there's 100-200 people in the room, and none of them are being distracted by their stupid cell phones. The room mics seem to only capture like the first 2 rows. Before they start playing All Out War, you can hear these guys in the front row scream, "Hey, move back, move the fuck back." And then 5 seconds later, you hear this girl in this high-pitched voice scream, "Move the fuck back!" And it's you can hear all of that on this record. It's I know it's kind of weird to pick a live record that's not really set in an arena or like some like big rock stadium where all you hear is crowd noise, but I don't know, this really translates well. Again, this was recorded in 97, released in 98. This is kind of right before Earth Crisis took a big departure with Breed the Killers and Slither, and then they broke up for a few years. But this really captures like the essential Earth Crisis records, like Gomorrah, Seasons Ends, and such.
Gorma Seasons Ends is a good album.
It's such a good record, and that's one of those songs that they still play to this day. Gomorrahs and Firestorm are just always going to be in the Earth Crisis set, and rightfully so, because they're absolute bangers. But yeah, The Oath That Keeps Me Free. Love the record.
Yeah, I had that on CD when I was younger. That is actually a cool recording. I do like that Cream cover in the beginning. It sounds really good. It's a nice sounding live recording. I remember that part with the girl screaming, "Move back!" That's funny that you pointed that out.
I mean, it's awesome. Like you can tell. Hey, this was recorded before cell phones ruined everything. Like before, people were just watching the actual band and nothing else. But you could hear like all these little not conversations. That's a poor way to put it, but all these like little comments in the first 2 rows. Yeah, it's translated really well on this record.
Yeah. Cool.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jeff, talk to me. Favorite live record?
All right, this was a toss-up for me. The album I chose is because the other contender for favorite live record has been talked about to death in the last couple episodes with the South Park Red Rock. So I chose not to go with that. So instead, I'm going with another monumental live performance for me. I went with Mr. Bungle, The Night They Came Home. This set consists of the entirety of the Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny that Mr. Bungle got back together and recorded in 2001, I believe. This performance is the entire album from beginning to end. I saw this performance in February of 2020. In February 2020, I flew to Los Angeles to see 2 nights of Mr. Bungle live. I saw Cattle Decapitation open up the first night, and the Melvins open up the second night. And this performance for me, it means a lot to me, just because it was the last trip that I took before the pandemic. It was the last show that I saw, not the last show I saw, but the last big trip that I took before the world shut down. And this album is great. It encaptures the entire performance that they were doing live. This is performed whenever bands were doing the live streams to keep fans of the bands at bay, giving them live performances, even though nobody could go to shows. We couldn't do anything actually going to live shows. And this is the opening track, "Won't You Be My Neighbor," is a complete Mr. Rogers with the piano opening and everything. And it's a fun version of "Won't You Be My Neighbor." If you've never heard it, check it out. It's pretty fun. I think my electricity just flickered. Anyway, there are several other tracks on here, like they cover "Hell Awaits." They do the opening to Hell Awaits because the drummer for this project is in fact Dave Lombardo. So why not cover a Slayer song? And then they go into Summer Breeze, which I forget who the band is. I know them and I can see the band, but I cannot think of that's what it is. My light's going out. Now you can't see anything. Okay, so yeah, but this is absolutely one of my favorite live performance albums. This was purchased from, once again, Hit Records in Columbia. Shout out to Hit Records. This is an orange pressing for Halloween, I guess. I don't know what the whole orange aesthetic is, but yeah, that's my pick for favorite live album. It's fun. I love it.
I'm very familiar with that Mr. Rogers intro. It absolutely slays. I thought that was done very, very, very well.
It was. And the first time I ever heard it live, I was like, so cool, dude. That is so awesome the way they did that. But yeah, fun album.
No, rest in peace, Fred Rogers.
Yeah, okay. Good call. Good call. All right. So, Nick, what you got?
Whenever I think about live albums, there's a lot of them, and I always try to judge this on like how well the recording is, how you can hear the sound and everything. And there was that band Fuck the Facts. They had a live recording that they only put out on DVD and MP3s, but I wish they did it on vinyl because I would have done that. It was like Live at Whitby or something like that. But then I thought back to this record, and I remember hearing this. I don't know, when I was maybe a teenager. My sister had this, and then I borrowed it from a friend when I was like in my early 20s. And I used to drive to shows and listen to this all the time. Bad Brains Live. This was from 1988. It was on SST Records. It's got I, At the Movies, The Regulator, Right Brigade, I Against I and I Survive, House of Suffering, Reignition, which is a really cool fucking riff. Sacred Love, She's Calling You, Coptic Times, FVK, which is Fearless Vampire Killers, and Secret 77. It was a really cool live album for a hardcore punk band, and then they even break out reggae songs on this. But yeah, I love Bad Brains. They're a really good live band, a really cool band from DC. I actually have never seen them live, unfortunately, but I guess at this point, people tell me HR isn't the same performer that he once was. But yeah, very influential band, actually. Lots of bands fucking were influenced by Bad Brains because they were fucking very unique for what punk and hardcore was in the 80s. And
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. There are lots of bands that talk a great deal about them. So yeah, that is my pick for favorite live album.
Cool. Oh yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Next one. Ooh, this is a good one. Again, favorite noise record.
All right.
What you got, Alex?
I'm going a little bit out of order. All right. My favorite noise record is by a noise artist called Human Fluid Rot. The name of the record is A Sudden Influx in Serendipity. This is exactly how harsh noise should be played, performed, pressed, everything. Everything about this is super well done, super harsh. This is a 2021 record, so I don't want to go as far as say new school, because Human Fluid Rot has been doing this for coming up close to 20 years. But he's a solo Southern Florida harsh noise artist that is just absolutely killing it. The artwork on front is a pretty good representation of his live shows. It is pretty chaotic, pretty short sets. Like, you thought grindcore bands were short. This guy We'll give you a run for your money. But if you're looking for like straight up harsh noise, not noise rock, Human Fluid Rot is the way to go.
Nice. I've never even heard of that project, but I'm
It's,
not real well versed in the harsh noise genre. But that's cool. Human Fluid Rot, right?
Human Fluid Rot. It's I cannot recommend him enough. Proud to call him a friend, Robbie. If you're watching this, what's up? He is one of the guys that's doing it right. I wish he played out a little bit more. But yeah, really, really, really good harsh noise.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff.
Jeff, talk to me.
Again, to echo my my knowledge of harsh noise, I know some here and there, not real well versed in it. I have some of the Full of Hell records and Primitive Man, and some of the Full of Hell Primitive Man records. I got some of that stuff to categorize a harsh noise, but I just kind of went with what I know and what I'm familiar with, and I just wanted to show this record again. Phantomos, Delirium Cordia. This thing is nothing. It's all. And let me back up. From the first episode, whenever I talked about this, I could not remember the actual name of it. Surgical sound specimens from the Museum of Skin. So to correct that mistake that I made a few episodes back, this is of course Phantomos, which is Mike Patton, King Buzzo, Trevor Dunn, and Dave Lombardo. This album is my first introduction to the really, really obscure noise samples, and it was a little bit much to take in upon my first listen. Of course, now I'm a huge fan of this album, of this band, of everything. But as far as the noise aspect, this is the first thing that came to mind whenever Alex sent us the topics. I wanted to show off my fingerprint-laden framed copy of Phantomos Delirium Cordia.
I love it.
Fuck yeah.
I love having that. And that's going to be back on the wall. Like, I know you can't really see it, but I'm going to go hang that up whenever.
Oh, no, I saw those fingerprints.
Yeah. It's taking out a lot. All right, Nick, what you got?
All right, so I went a bit of a different route, not like harsh noise like Alex was expecting, and or kind of what Jeff went. This band kind of falls into multiple categories. There's some noise. There's hardcore, power violence, grindcore, a little bit of metalcore at times. But I am talking about a band that probably most of you have never heard of before, but Jeff probably knows about these guys because it's a friend of ours. They're called Yatsu. The name of the album is It Could Happen. It Can't Happen Here is the name of the album. The cover is a little dark here. Our buddy Josh, Keep It Wolf's son, is his handle. He's out in Texas, and he's he plays drums for this band. And it's a random color. I don't know if you can see it well. It's kind of gray, but this is a very cool record. Josh he's been an internet friend for many years. I met him at the last Dillinger Escape Plan show. And, we talk wrestling with each other all the time, but, I always see that he's in a band and he told me one day that they're putting out a record. So fuck it. I'm going to support my buddy. And I bought this and, I was like, holy shit, this is pretty fucking good. Yeah. I actually bought a shirt way before I bought this, but again, just to support a friend. But, yeah, this is great. I remember calling Jeff and be like, dude, have you heard this? it's really fucking good. Oh my God, these songs. I don't know if I want to read all these, but very cool project. I can't say enough great things about this band. Like it's a surpriser. I think Decibel did a review about it, and or maybe it was Brooklyn Vegan. I don't know, but you have to, if you've not heard this band, check them out. It's a neat project, and then it's a good friend of me and Jeff's, and yeah, just trying to throw a little curveball into your topic there, Alex.
Yeah. First off, shout out Josh Huddleston. I don't know if you watched the show. I have not heard any feedback from you about the show, but that album, like whenever I heard it upon my first listen, I was like, this is the most pissed off record I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
It is good, good. And
I wasn't
again, like
expecting
Nick,
that.
no, I was not expecting that at all. Josh is a friend, you know, I've ran into Josh several times throughout the years, met him online, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like Nick, whenever he heard it, I was like, oh my God, this is good. Like, yeah, this is really not to be surprising that Josh would be in a good band, but I was just like,
yeah, for sure.
This exceeded expectations of how good
For many years, my knowledge of Josh was he'd always go to shows and stage dive and come home complaining about his ribs were hurting. But like other than that, like at some point, like you know, he's like, I'm in a band and I play drums, and you know, he's always showing these videos, and then like, you know, I bought a shirt because it was a wrestling shirt, and then he's like, yeah, we're putting out records. I'm like, oh, cool, send me a link, and I bought it, and I just was like not expecting it to be as good as it was. I was like,
no,
wow.
I wasn't either. You know,
no.
Like, pretty constant listen for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, every time I would listen to something, I'd go back to Yatsu. Like, man, this is good.
I wish they could tour. I don't know what those guys, if they can make it out of Texas or not, but yeah, we played Death Fest one year.
For sure.
It's a neat project. But yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Another great topic, which we could do a full episode on. Favorite instrumental album.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad we went in this order because this is now a record I'm going to recommend for Grindstopher, because this is what gets you into harsh noise. This is Merzbeat by Merzbow. This is probably his most digestible, most accessible. I don't want to say most mainstream because that's definitely not the right word, but this is the closest thing Merzbow has ever done to easy listening. It is not terribly harsh noise, but as the title suggests, Merzbeat, the entire record is set over these lo-fi, almost hip-hop kind of beats. Really, really easy, like 4/4, clearly drum machined beats, but just those beats going on top of Merzbow's noise makes it a little bit more easy listening, almost to the point where you'd be like, oh, I could listen to this in an elevator and it would make sense. I know Merzbow has a lot of material, and I know that whenever people think Merzbow, they think Pulse Demon, which is a great record, but Pulse Demon is when you want to go swimming in the deep end. This is when you first want to dip your toes into the water that is harsh noise. It is Merzbeat by Merzbow. Check it out.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I've heard the name tossed around, Merzbow. I've just never taken the initiative to listen, or if I have, it was.
I believe your friend Ross brought up Pulse Demon during his episode. That is, as I said, maybe not something you listen to on the first day of harsh noise, but that Merzbeat is just if you want to just get your hands wet a little bit, this is the way to do it. And I know, yeah, exactly. And I know he also does a lot of collaborations with Fall of Hell, which is really good, with Boris, which is really good. But sometimes you get a little bit too much of the band he's collaborating with and not enough of Merzbow, or vice versa. It's not always a 50-50 split, as you know. But Merzbow is definitely, in the big four of harsh noise, as it were. And that's probably his gateway drug to harsh noise.
Right on. Cool.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
I know that's also a little weird for an instrumental pick, but it really is more instrumental than it is noise, which is why I went for instrumental. And I'm really glad I did, because it was a nice segue to Jeff's conversation. Speaking of Jeff's conversation, Jeff, what's your favorite instrumental record?
Like Nick said, we could probably do an entire episode on instrumental records. The one that I picked is one that, because of a recent show that I went to, means a lot to me. I am referring to the Secret Chiefs 3 album. I know I'm going to mispronounce this. Ishraquian Perichorisis. I know I've already butchered that, so I'm not even going to try to.
I'm going to name my firstborn that.
A couple. A month or so ago, Melanie and I traveled to Knoxville, Tennessee to see this being performed live because I am a fan of Secret Chiefs 3 and I just want to do everything or see every show that I can of theirs. And while I was there, I got Trey Spruance's autograph on this album after the set. I got to talk to Trey. I've seen Secret Chiefs and Mr. Bungle and a couple other projects of his enough throughout the years that he remembers me now, so that I have that going for me. Trey Spruance knows who I am, which is, bragging rights, street cred, whatever you want to call it. Trey recognizes me now. But yeah, we got to see this performed live, which was phenomenal. Watching Secret Chiefs 3 is always a treat. The second time I saw them was in Baltimore with my co-host here, Nick Martin. We got to see Secret Chiefs 3 a few years back, the night that I met Mike Patton, which was one of the greatest moments of my life. But that's a whole other tangent I don't want to get off on. But yeah, Secret Chiefs 3 is the majority of their releases are instrumentals. They don't have vocals. Every now and then they will have tracks with vocalists, and I'm not going to dig out other records. I do have other Secret Chiefs 3 records, which is hard to do. They are hard to find, but I'm not going to. That's another episode. We'll do that later on. But yeah, this is my pick. And Chai, you are welcome for the naming of your firstborn child. You'll have to tell me how you pronounce it, so I know how to pronounce it in future episodes.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet. You bet, buddy.
Jeff, do I have this right? The first time you met Mike Patton was Dead Cross at Baltimore Soundstage. Do I have that right? I was at that show. I remember. I wasn't there for the meeting. I feel like I would have been not worthy for that. But that's awesome, man. Mike Patton's a good dude.
Oh yeah, dude. We were talking about this the other day, but yeah, it was just crazy how nice he was.
Yeah.
And he also remembers you.
I hope so.
You said something about didn't you meet him again like the next week or something? And he was
yeah, I saw him a couple other times. I talked to him after the last the first show of the last Dillinger shows, and I told him I'd seen him 3 or 4 times that year, and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" Why? But he did recognize the beard, so
as he should.
This is my namesake. Mwah.
Oh yeah.
All right, we got Nick.
All right. I think I've talked about this album before on the show, but I don't give a fuck because this is my favorite instrumental album. This is actually an EP by a band called Blotted Science, the animation of entomology.
Good pick. Very good pick.
Yeah, this band consists of, let me see here, Ron Jarzenbeck on guitar, Alex Webster of Cannibal Corpse on bass, and on this album, Hannes Grossman of like Necrophagist and Obscura, he played drums on this record. When this band originally was created, I think Chris Adler from Lamb of God, OG Lamb of God, was on drums in this band. But this is a very cool EP. It's Side A is Ingesting Bladderia, Creacious Chasm. Oh man, I can't pronounce these. Vermicular Asphyxiation, and then Side B is like a bunch of concept songs all in one. It's called a Sting Operation. Human Barbecues, Cessation, Sanitation, Seeing Dead People, and Emitting Eyes. You can see this artwork. It's just a bunch of insects going wild in a lab. But this band it's very techie, proggy, death metal, with no vocals. and I remember they have like a full length EP. I think they just put this one and the full length on. They're repressing them, right, Jeff?
Yes, they are repressing. I forget who it was that I ordered them from, but
yeah, resend me that link because I need to get some. I don't think I have the first one. I only have this. I have a test press of this. I may have it. I don't know what I have. I know I have a test press of this and this one, but like, great fucking record. Came out in 2013 on Antithetic Records, and it's out of 100 on red vinyl. But yeah, cool fucking band. Real, like I said, techie proggy stuff, and just.
Where did you score a test pressing of that?
They were selling it like on the website of this label had like a bunch of like shit for sale one day. Like,
really?
I just found out about it like years after I already had been a fan of the band, and I like went there and just happened to see that there was a test press in that red vinyl, but the other record, the OG pressing of the first one, the full length, they didn't have, and I was like, fuck.
That's a score. That's
a
score, dude.
No shit. Cool. Yeah, it's a great record. I mean, like, I always try to put it on when people tell me they don't like metal because they hate the vocals. I'm like, well, listen to this and tell me what you think, because this is some like real like intense shit, but it's like technically it's great. It really is. They're just a wild fucking band. I wish they would put out more, but anyways,
I'm glad it doesn't have vocals. Like, I think that's one of those things vocals would ruin. Like, just keep it instrumental, you know?
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there's tons of bands I could have chose. Animals as Leaders is one that, you know, like I grew up with Tosin. He was you know, he lived here in Gaithersburg. But you know, there's that record alone, that Blotted Science EP was just, for me, when I think about instrumentals, that's what I think of instantly. I mean, it's hands down. All right. Next topic is a topic again that we could have done a full episode on, actually. Favorite album from the Big Four.
Hell
One of the Big Four bands.
What are the Big Four bands? So for those of you who don't know, the Big Four in America are Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax. And of those four, I picked Megadeth, and my pick is Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? I struggled a lot between this and Rust in Peace for my pick.
That's the better album.
Okay, so
I think so. I like Rust in Peace, but that album fucking rules. What a way!
Okay. I thought you were against.
I thought you were saying the same thing. I thought you were saying Rust in Peace was better.
No. Peace Sells is by far much better than Rust in Peace.
See, they're both great records.
Yeah.
The problem is it's almost two different bands. It's different drummers, different lead guitar players. But I think at this point in my life, Rust in Peace has been played to death. I know that you know, I'll never sound like Marty Friedman. I know that it just seemed a little bit too otherworldly, like something I could never achieve. But Peace Sells with Chris Poland and Gar Samuelson, who I think is the MVP of this record, they absolutely kill it. I think the very last song, My Last Words, definitely my favorite Megadeth song, doesn't get enough love. It's interesting. I went on a YouTube deep dive the other night, and it's interesting to see My Last Words being performed by, at this point, like 5 different drummers. They all play it differently, but at the end of the day, Gar is still playing it the best. Yeah, there's Gar right there. But yeah, Peace Sells, But Who's Buying is definitely my pick for the Big Four record.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Definitely a good one. Definitely a great one.
Jeff?
Okay, so mine is probably going to cause some controversy, and people are probably going to unsubscribe from the channel because of this, but I don't care. Go. See you. It was nice knowing you. As far as the big four, I know there's only three of us, and I kind of wanted to keep it even tiered. You know, I didn't figure that Nick was going to, I didn't know if Nick was going to do anything from Slayer or not, but the album I chose is from Slayer. And I am aware that this album does not get, or is not a highly picked album from the band Slayer. Don't care. I finally got a copy of this album on vinyl. God Hates Us All. I fucking love this record. It is so good. And if nothing else, I mean, this album absolutely. I mean, it has its duds, you know, here and there. They're not that great. Warzone. Probably one of the heaviest Slayer songs ever written, ever. I'll say it right now. Heavy as shit. So yeah, I mean, it just probably, I don't know. I probably go back and forth as to what my favorite Slayer record is, but like I said, I just got this not too long ago, and I wanted to showcase the fact that I do own this on vinyl. And
there are some bangers on that record, dude. There are some absolute bangers on that record.
Yeah.
I know you're right. It's not the most popular Slayer record, but no, banger of a Slayer record, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I remember an ex-girlfriend at the time bringing that to me the day before it came out, because we were, you know, Tower Records, you can get stuff like that early, and I remember just listening to it and just being like, man, this is crazy as shit. What a great record. And then the next morning waking up and 9/11 happened.
Yeah, I remember that.
And just being like, what the fuck?
Mhm.
And that intro track where he's talking about like terrorism and everything, I was like, man, was this like a premonition or something?
Right.
But yeah, great fucking album. Great pick so far. I'm gonna give you the most generic shit in the world, but I don't give a fuck, because you know what? This is the album that made me a metalhead. This really is. I found this cassette tape in my sister's drawer when I was just a little kid, and Metallica, Master of Puppets. This is what started it all for me. I don't care how, like, you know, generic it was. At least I didn't pick the Black Album, which I love that album. But this is a is it orange? I don't know. It's not pink, but
It's orange.
not a single fucking bad track on this record. Battery, Master of Puppets, The Thing That Should Not Be, Sanitarium, Disposable Heroes. A lot of people tell me that's their favorite Metallica song. Leper Messiah, Orion, which is my favorite Metallica song, and Damage Inc. Start to finish, this is a fucking banger. Metallica fucking rules. I don't know. I can't say anything bad about this band. You know, like, I don't care, like, if they put out some albums that I didn't care for later, but like this album, this is what made me a metalhead. This started it all. Like, I could listen to this for days. This is an obvious Desert Island album, and it's my pick for best of the big fours.
Yeah, no. Absolute great record. Who was it? Not too long ago, somebody was saying that it was one of the greatest death metal records ever written, and it was not quite death metal, but definitely one of the most solid records ever recorded. Ever. Agreed 100%. Hold on one second. Flip back to you for a second, Nick. Just for 1 second. Thank you. All right. Sorry about this. I have traffic going through the background. Melanie said she really enjoyed your Pink Master of Puppets record.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, Master of Puppets, dude. Great album. For sure.
All right. Moving on. Next topic. Again, a topic that we could have done a full fucking episode on. And
yeah.
I really like this one because I was talking to Jeff about how I wanted to. We'll get there. Favorite bootleg, Alex? What you got?
Oh yeah. Had a hard time with this one. Actually, changed this a couple times last minute, but my final pick is Napalm Death demos from 85 to 86. This is consisting of the demos for Hatred Surge and From Enslavement to Obliteration. The Napalm Death timeline is a complicated one, but this is basically their material before Barney joined the band, before they made Harmony Corruption. I believe what I'm holding came right before Mentally Murdered. The lineup on this was Shane, Lee Dorian, Steer, and Harris. But this is just if you've listened to Enslavement from Enslavement to Obliteration to Death, this is just a nice way of seeing what came before. Nice little bootleg collage going on. A couple of old napalm flyers. But yeah, this is just a nice way to revisit probably the earliest days of Napalm Death. Yeah, but that's my pick for favorite bootleg Napalm demos, 85 to 86.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Our friend Chris Ustella has the set list from the very first Napalm Death show in America. It was in New York City, and I believe that was a Lee Dorian set.
Why is that set list not in the Smithsonian?
I don't know. Jason used it in his book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, and Extremity Retained.
Yes.
Yeah, I
It's in
remember
there.
that.
Hell yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Old school Napalm Death.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty badass.
Sorry if you can hear car horns in my front yard, but yeah.
You're probably going to hear my cat feeder go off soon, so I have to probably mute. It's probably going to happen in the middle of me talking too.
I was hoping that Melody was going to go through the thing whenever you were still on screen. Anyway, we all have stuff going on in the background. Okay, so my pick for favorite bootleg, much like Chaw, it was a tough decision to come up with because I have bootlegs aplenty. But the one that I decided on, the one that I'm going with, I think I'm pretty content with because it reminds me a lot of the original layout for the original album that I had in the mid '90s. I am talking about Alice in Chains Tripod. This album has several different names. The name of the album isn't actually Tripod. It's what I've called it forever. People have called it Grind. People have called it, of course, Tripod. It is the self-titled album from Alice in Chains. The layout for this, the artwork, just everything for this pressing looks so damn close to the original that this is the copy that I went with whenever I found it online. This album, it's Alice in Chains. I mean, you don't get much better than Alice in Chains collectively. And this album in particular is just so good. So good. And as a lot of vinyl collectors know, the quality of vinyl, a bootleg vinyl, is usually a gamble. This particular pressing, which is a white pressing, just solid white pressing, sounds amazing. It really does. It is a clean, clear copy of Tripod. Very happy to have this in my collection. I really wish that I owned an original press. One of these days I will. But for the moment, this is absolutely suitable for me to have. And it is definitely pleasing to own or to listen to this album on vinyl. Yeah. Favorite bootleg.
Last album with Lane. I mean, there's tons of bangers on that. Sludge Factory, Goddamn, Over Now. It's just
even Nothing Song. I mean, it just
start to finish. I think that's a phenomenal fucking record, man.
Correct.
I mean, Lane's got such a distinct voice, and it's just so beautiful. And I after that they did the Unplugged, which was my favorite thing, my favorite Unplugged. But great pick, man. I love that album, and I call it the self-titled.
See that's what I'm saying. A lot of people have different their own title for it. Like I've heard it called Grind and Tripod and self-titled. What everybody to each their own. I like Tripod. I don't know if that's just the cameraman in me or what it is, but I like It's always been my preferred name for that record. So,
Word.
moving on.
All
Yeah,
right.
buddy.
So this is a weird one because it's a bootleg, but it's a mashup record. It's done by a DJ from Australia named DJ Bacon. I don't know how I discovered this. I really don't, but it's called Beastie Floyd. It is literally Beastie Boys mashed up with Pink Floyd. It's like Pink Floyd's music and then Beastie Boys like rapping over it to like the beat. It doesn't really have like, you know, it just says the mega mix. So like if you were to go on this guy's like Bandcamp, you could hear it all. I got the dark green vinyl. I think this is the second pressing of this one out of 150. And then he did like he put out these little like 7 inches. And if you got one, like the original 7-inch pressing, I don't know which is which. Let me try to pull these out. These are like no labels, but they come with a little spacer in the middle there.
That's cool as hell.
The original one that when they went for sale, they were like, fuck. I don't know if they just didn't listen to the test presses or what, but they just sounded like shit. So like he reached out, you know, if you got one, he wanted you to reach out. So I reached out to him. I was like, yeah, mine sounds awful. So he sent me another one. That doesn't happen often in the record business, but in record days. But this is the other one I got. It's pretty cool to have this. It's, you know, like I said, I'm a big Pink Floyd fan and a huge Beastie Boys fan. But you know, if you like both, it's definitely a cool little mashup to listen to because I mean they put like everything from License to Ill to I don't know if maybe Hello Nasty is there's some stuff on there, but like where did it go? Yeah, pretty cool artwork.
That 7-inch looks very breakable.
Yeah, that's very obscure, very unique. The artwork's awesome. Oh, with the pit, that's
DJ
awesome.
Bacon is his name. He's based out of Australia. You can find him on he's on Instagram. He's on Bandcamp, but I you know, that was a pretty cool mashup. I was like, man, I can't pass up on that. I don't know if you want to call it a bootleg or not, but that falls into the category. It's not an official release.
Oh yeah.
So,
so as far as the artwork for that, like, is it all Dark Side of the Moon, or is it just various Pink Floyd songs throughout the years?
Oh yeah, it's everything. It's everything. Like, I know there's one, I can't remember. I feel like Learning to Fly with like Car Thief lyrics on top of it, stuff like that. Like I probably have it wrong. Like you can go on YouTube. Actually, I think you can find like the full album on YouTube. But like it's not just Dark Side of the Moon. It's all
everything,
all eras of Pink Floyd. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty cool shit. Yeah. I mean, he does this with a lot of other artists. DJ Bacon. Once again, I'm going to plug the shit out. Shout out to DJ Bacon. I think he's in one of the Beastie Boy groups that I'm in, so I'll let him know that I'm name dropping him like shit in this show.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I've heard you or somebody talk about this album in passing throughout the years, and I've always been intrigued. Just never took the initiative to listen to Beastie Boys rapping over Pink Floyd. I don't know.
It's only 4 years old. Came out in 2020. So yeah, I'm sure other people have it. It's neat. It's a pretty cool little concept. So.
Very cool. Very cool.
All righty. Let's see here. Last subject before we. No, there's 2 more. I'm sorry.
No, 2 more.
Favorite compilation.
All right. Jeff's gonna like this one. My compilation, and I'm probably stretching the word, as it were, is Straight Up by the band Snot. Most compilations, as you know, are probably just one record with a bunch of different bands. This whole record is the same band with different singers. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Snot, their singer, Lynn, died in
98.
Thank you, 98. And I hope I'm not telling this wrong. And I believe when he passed, the instrumentals for this record were done or at least demoed, but zero, with the exception of one song, zero of his vocals were recorded. So what the band did was they called all their friends, which is pretty much everyone from the early, or not from the early, from the late 90s Ozfests. They were like, hey, come on down and sing on a Snot song. And they got pretty much everyone from the Ozfest, the who's who of late 90s nu metal. Let me do some name dropping real quick. Corey Taylor, Des Fafara, Fred Durst, Brandon Boyd, Jason from RKL, who is the only one on this record that is deceased.
Yeah.
Ozzy does a spoken word track. Although, in fairness, it would be weird to hear Ozzy sing a Snot track. I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
In an alternate world, I'm sure we do have Ozzy singing on Snot, but for this, we just have Ozzy speaking for 13 seconds. Max Cavalera is on this.
Head P.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce
MCUD.
Is that okay? I guess MCUD from Head PE. Man, that's a mouthful. Yeah, very beat up press. Yeah, everyone who sings, they gets a little picture there. It's almost like a yearbook. Again, this is one of those lightning in a bottle things because they did all this without social media. They did all this with nothing but a phone book. They
right.
There was no let me Dropbox you this song and have it back to me, in a few days. If there was ever such a thing as a Viking funeral of a record, it would be straight up. One more tidbit, and then we're going to move on. Back in the late 90s, this was released in 2000. In the year 2000, record companies would do this thing where, in order to sell records, they would give away cassettes for free. On this demo cassette is 3 of the songs that appear on this, but this is a promo tape for the straight up record. Sorry to bring a cassette onto Vinyl Bang, but
no, fine.
Yeah, right. But that is my pick for compilation, straight up by Snot.
So I kind of have some connection to that record. I knew a guy that was involved. He took all those photos. He was in the studio for every person recording. His name was Jeff. He was friends with a girl that I met back in the day. The first internet friend I ever made on AOL, this girl, Christy. She was friends with this guy. And I met this guy when he was on tour with Amen, but he knew Tumor really well. So like he had his hand in that a lot of stuff on that album. So when that album was being recorded before everything came out, I was getting a sneak preview of those little demo tapes. He sent me a ton of shit in the mail, and I had a lot of Snot stuff for a long time, and stickers, everything, all the promotional shit that came with that album. I had like boxes of it for so many years. Awesome. I don't know what happened to a lot of it, but like I remember being really hyped up. I loved Snot. They were a cool band. They put out a very unique record as far as all the other bands that were around at that time. But unfortunately for me, they didn't really stand the test of time. It's not one of those albums that I can still listen to today and be like, yeah, this is a big deal to me. But yeah, I remember being hyped about that record. Like like you said, the who's who in nu metal or Ozfest basically were on that album. Like even Mark McGrath was on it.
Yeah, he's the very, very last track. Not the brightest crane in the box, that track, I would say. I honestly, I think the MVP of this record is the only one Lynn did, which is
Absent.
Yeah, what a title.
And then that Seven Dust song, which they used like 1,000 times over. Like they went on like the Tonight Show and performed that song.
Yeah. I think remember the music video for that song, like where they are. where they CGI a blurry Lynn walking around with his dog Dobbs.
Right.
What makes the story even sadder is that Lynn and his dog died at the same car accident. Really, really, really tragic story. Like even his funeral cards were in loving memory of Lynn and Dobbs. Like those guys were inseparable. But yeah, really, really, really good band. I know some of those members went on to do Amen and Soulfly, and a couple of
and speaking of Dobbs, this is Dobbs.
There you go.
This is Dobbs, the dog on the front of the cover, who died tragically with Lynn. Real quick, just to go back to that compilation in general.
Yeah.
Beyond jealous that you own that. I haven't listened to that in years. Whenever it came out, it was all I listened to. The Serj Tankian track, just all of it. Jonathan Davis, like, dude, the Seven Dust track, it just the Lasian, I guess I should say. This album to me is still a big deal. I love Snot. Absolutely love the one record that they did. Still holds up to me. This is one of those albums whenever I can't think of anything else to listen to, I listen to Get Some, because so good. It is absolutely one of my favorite records of all time. The fact that you own it on vinyl, I want to go ahead and just kick you off the show now and not talk to you ever again. But I am insanely jealous that you own that on vinyl and that cassette.
Yeah, the cassette was just a random dollar store find, if I'm being honest. And wow. The vinyl is a little bit beat up, especially someone didn't take very good care of this, but damn it, I will. Yeah, you're right. I played the shit out of that CD. And some of these bands have, gone on to do great arena things. Some of them are still playing pretty small venues. I just learned very recently, Nick, jump in here. I just learned very recently that RKL is back with Tony Foresta on vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea that was even
rehearsing that for months now.
Yeah, that's
Blake and I were talking about that a while back, actually.
That came out of left field. I had RKL has been not a thing for a very long time, if I believe.
I think in like the early 2000s, maybe they broke up. I don't know. I never followed that band.
Jason passed in 2006.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. Yeah, good stuff. All right, I'm gonna stop yapping about Snot. Jeff, got a compilation for us.
Compilation, yeah. I kind of went back and forth about which one I wanted to do. Initially, I wanted to do 38 Counts of Battery, which is phenomenal. I toyed with the idea of doing Medium Rarities from Cattle Decapitation because it's, again, phenomenal. I decided to go with one of the very first compilations I was ever subjected to, the compilation that got me into this band. Violent Femmes Added Up from 1981 to 1993. This was my first album I ever owned from the Violent Femmes after being introduced to them through different teenagers throughout the years in the town of Louisiana, Missouri that I grew up in. But this was the first album that I came across in a store or whatever it was, but it was the first Violent Femmes record or album that I was able to buy on CD back in the 90s. And it is just, I mean, it's gone unappreciated for years and years and years. The band Kraft Records, I believe, Kraft Records released this a couple of years back on vinyl, and I believe it was the first time on vinyl, and I absolutely could be wrong. I didn't do a whole lot of research for this episode. But this is like a who's who of Violent Femmes. If you were ever wanting to discover this band, to give them a chance, just listen to this from beginning to end, because I mean, it's got the hits, it's got Blister in the Sun, Gone Daddy Gone, it's got Give Me the Car. The songs that really stand out, though, like the songs that really like kind of threw me for a loop whenever I first heard them, Country Death Song, it just, it's so good. Jesus Walking on the Water, I'm not a real big fan of, but it's still it's a great track. 36, 24, 36. Dance, motherfucker, dance, which is that's the lyrics for the entire 3-minute song is just dance, motherfucker, dance. It's fun. It's a fun track. The live versions of Kiss Off and Add It Up are stellar. I mean, absolutely stellar. The way that they performed these songs live back in the early '90s or late '80s or whenever it was so good. But this is my light started working again. This is absolutely the way to get into the Violent Femmes. It is just such a great record. Yeah, my pick for compilation for this album, absolutely phenomenal. Violent Femmes.
Right on.
Better Light. And Nick, you said you dabbled in them, like your sister listened to them.
My sister liked them. I never got into them. I think I was in the 8th grade when that Blister in the Sun song became famous, or it was already out. I didn't know that they were a band from the 80s, right?
Yes.
So this was like 93, 94 when I remember hearing that song for the first time. 94, 95, and I just was like, where did they come from? And then I saw them on Beavis and Butthead, and I think we talked about that once.
Yeah, we did.
I had to like look it up to tell you what song it was.
No, and I was surprised because like I'd never seen that video, but I get to see them again in a couple weeks. They're performing their first 2 albums in its entirety, and I am so excited to see the Femmes again. Anyway, moving on, Nick.
All right. This is a cool one. This is something that I discovered during quarantine. This is a one-man project. And this one man has made some really cool fucking power violence. This is a band called Internal. I don't know if you see that artwork. It's a hyena eating a ripped off lion's head.
Love it.
This guy is he does everything: the vocals, the drums, the guitars, the bass. It's a guy with a pet hyena. I have that on a shirt somewhere. Look at that. Look at that scene right there. I mean, it's brutal. Tracks 1 through 9 are from the Internal demo. Tracks 10 through 19 from Scrape. And tracks 20 through 24 are from Carve. This is everything up before Primal came out, but it's, there's so the version I have is blue. It got a blue cover. And this is out of 200 on RSR Records, Regurgitated Semen Records. And then there's a one with a red cover, and it's out of 100. It's got a screen print of like a hyena's like skull on the on the blank side of the record. But yeah, if you've never heard of this band, check them out. Check it out. Check him out. I don't know how to refer to it. Check them out. Like it's a one-man band, like I said, but this is some very powerful, very brutal stuff. Best thing I could say is crossed out worship, if that means anything to you. But okay. Internal.
Right on.
Yeah. Very, very cool band. Like I said, it was a quarantine find. I was, I think they had a lot. That's when the Bandcamp Friday shit started, and a lot of people were bragging about picking up a copy of Scrape, and I went and listened to it, and I was like, oh my God. And yeah, some good stuff there. But I rarely discover new music on my own like that, but that was a pretty cool find. And it was actually the only band in all the years I've known Blake Harrison. That's the only band I've ever played for him that he was like, this is actually really fucking good. Everything else I've ever played for him, either it sucks or it doesn't suck. He'll say like, well, it doesn't suck like that.
That kind of compliment.
But that's just, that was a great record. And like I said, most people I played for really dig it. So, all right. This is the final category before Cha goes on his little lightning round. We got favorite wax color / pattern on a vinyl.
Yeah.
And that subject correctly?
Sure. My pick is by a band called Animosity and remixed by Drumcore called Altered Beast. I think. Wait, no. So I'm not going to show the front of this record because it's autographed with something naughty on the front. So I'm just going to show the back of the record. But more importantly, I'm going to show the vinyl. I do not know how they pressed this, but it's. Let's see. Let me hold this the right way. It's like Mirror meets Splatter meets.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I do not know how they pressed this to this day. It's kind of hard to show you without reflecting my computer screen, but what you're seeing right now is help me out here. What do you call it when it's not
screen printed? Or, I think it's probably like UV printed or something like that.
Not etching, but what do you call it when it's like not etched, just flat?
Screen printed.
Is that what it is? Okay, yeah. All right, then I guess it's just screen printed with the splatter you'd expect, and then all this mirror stuff on the back. Nick, I'm pretty sure you were at the show where
I was just gonna say I was there when you bought it, and I remember driving back to your house with you and Steve and that person I'm not going to mention, and we played it on your turntable, and I believe the first time you played it was on the wrong side. That just tells you what kind of a night we had.
Truth. Do you remember what it says on the cover of this record?
No.
Good. All right, moving on. Yeah, that is my go-to for favorite Wax. Great record. Animosity isn't really a band anymore, and I'm not familiar with Drumcore, the entity that did these remixes. But Animosity is was a kick-ass metal band.
Fuck yeah. Homies.
Yeah. But that is my pick. That is some beautiful Wax right there.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to Evan. Shout out to Chase. Shout out to Frank. Shout out to
Naveen.
Oh my God. Oh my
Naveen.
God. Who?
Naveen.
Yes. And I'm drawing a blank at the singer's name, and he was always so fucking cool to me.
We'll put it in post.
Oh no. He was there. That band was so good to me over the years. They always would hook me up with merch, free tickets, everything. They were so fucking awesome. I love them.
I would help you out with the liner notes, but there aren't any.
Animosity. Ooh, such a great band. Yeah, I remember being there when you bought that. I definitely do.
I'll show you the inside. The inside says, Frank, I'm fucking drunk.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Simpler times.
They were a cool band. I wish people are always asking for Wax Vessel to repress their albums, and I really wish someone like Silent Pendulum would, so I don't have to like die to get it. But
Nick, do you remember who else was at that Autobar show?
It was Animosity. I think it was the last time I saw them with like Frank and all them. So
was it Job for a Cowboy?
Job for a Cowboy and Cattle Decapitation, I think. Maybe Gaza. Maybe it was Job.
Index. That was the Spears and Beers tour, because I mean
no. It
no?
wasn't
Jeff, I think you're talking about a separate tour, but not
that
Autobar show.
This one's like this was the last time I saw Animosity. That I remember. But I'm trying to think. I think Job for a Cowboy was there, but I can't remember who else. Maybe I went to that show just to see Animosity, but I don't remember who else was on that tour. But yeah, I do remember that being at that show and seeing you there. But you buying that record, that
was a good time. That was a really good time.
All right, Jeff.
All right. So for my favorite Wax and color pattern, whatever, I decided to go with the Evil Dead 2 soundtrack, original motion picture music by Joseph LaDuca. Not familiar with his other work. The pressing itself, it just really reminds me of Ash throughout the movie. It's the blue and brown and red splatter, or not splatter, mix. I guess you call it. I don't know, but yeah, this record absolutely it has the feel of the movie itself, and I've always loved this pressing. I'm sure I have other pressings that are probably cooler and way more, probably cooler to look at or whatever. But I just wanted to showcase that I have Evil Dead 2 on vinyl. The pressing in particular, because I mean, huge fan of the Evil Dead. Got the poster in the background and whatever. Huge fan of these movies, and this one in particular. This is probably my favorite of everything in the Evil Dead universe. And yeah, it's just a rad pressing. And Nick, you said you own this as well?
Yes, that came from Waxworks.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember getting that, seeing that.
Yeah,
being like, fuck yeah. That year, I think 2017, they were just on fire. They were putting out some really good scores from good horror movies that year, and they haven't been that hot lately. I mean, they do like a lot of like those Ninja Turtles ones a couple years ago were huge. Our buddy Chris Keller, he's got a really decent collection of stuff from Waxworks. I think he had his girlfriend got him a subscription for Christmas one year or something like that. So
Yeah, I got the Turtles poster in my background.
yeah.
He was very adamant about showing me that one.
Nice.
Well, yeah. All right. So I pulled like a last second change because the original thing I was going to do wasn't really a good like color or anything like that. But this one's pretty neat actually. This one makes me laugh when I think about it. The only reason it's SpongeBob SquarePants, the original theme highlights. Yeah. There's only one reason I really bought this, and it's because there's a Pantera song on here, and it's called Pre-Hibernation. It's an instrumental, but it's basically We'll Grind That Axe for a long, long time. I remember sometime in the early 2000s, I used to go to this message board, and somebody was like, I was just watching SpongeBob, and they played Pantera. And I thought that was a total fucking lie. And then years later, I saw it and couldn't believe it. And then they threw them on this soundtrack. This came out on Enjoy the Tunes Records. This is out of 500 copies. It's made to look like SpongeBob.
Dude, that's rad.
Yeah, I remember buying two of them, and I think I flipped one at Celebrated Summer. But like, it's a fun fucking record to have. Like I don't know, like the original, like I said, the original thing I was going to choose. It's a really cool looking record, but the color pattern wasn't that great. The fact that this looks like SpongeBob really makes me laugh a lot. Yeah, I'm not a little child. There's no real reason I have this. I mean, I think I've listened to it maybe once or twice, but
I love it.
Cool, nice looking Wax,
Just real quick. Are there any Ween tracks on that?
Yes, yeah. Actually, I forgot to mention that. Where is it? Loop de Loop. That's it. Everything else
awesome.
is by
what do you want for it?
Pinty, the Piratin' Kids, Sandy Cheeks, like SpongeBob and the Losers, SpongeBob and Plankton, and the Ghastly Ones. But it's Ween and Pantera are on this record.
What? After the episode's over, we're going to discuss what you want for that. Because I want to have Loop de Loop on vinyl.
Unless you want to part ways with that Trash Explosion record.
Next.
All right. So, Cha, I believe you have some records and a cat you'd like to show off before we cut this show.
Yeah. So I'll just do a couple. I guess she'll hang out there. I'll do a couple of records that didn't really fit into categories, but just feel like they are records that should be mentioned.
Let's see some stuff from your collection, pal.
All right. First thing I want to talk about is Blood Flowers by The Cure. This is a picture disc reissue that I also, speaking of, got from Celebrated Summer 2019, 2020, something around like that. This is my favorite Cure record. Not what everyone thinks of when they think of The Cure. Usually they think of pornography or what have you, but this came out in 2000, right after they released Wild Mood Swings, which was a little bit too upbeat for me, a little bit not what The Cure should be. On this one, they did a little bit of tone chasing and the riffs and the tone actually matches the melancholy mood of what The Cure should be. Probably the most mainstream record we'll talk about in this episode, or at least the most mainstream band, I should say. But that's Blood Flowers by The Cure. Talk about a little bit of noise. This is another new school noise artist I want to talk about. This is Fuck Your Punk Rock by a noise artist called Sickness. I do not know where he is from, but if you look at this picture disc, you'll notice that it's a cut up collage. And that is essentially what this music reflects is as well. It's basically cut up noise. Cut up is basically a style of harsh noise, I feel, where you're just zigzagging from one source to the other, not left to right, but just from different sources, almost like a ping pong ball attached to a microphone. Really good stuff. Tracks go from as long as 7 seconds to as long as 17 minutes. I might be making that number up, but really very short and very long songs. Really great titles. Let me find some good titles. Let's see. Post-rock, harsh electronic, DSP modeled, hyper-edited, no beat, analog loop-based, guitar noodle, LFO madness, vocal freakout, lo-fi brooding, dark apocalyptic, free jazz evil, old school industrial, neo, minimalistic, crusp, no overdub, punk, cassette tape soundtrack for your generation. That's one song title. That's
Jesus.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Are you serious? That's like Norma Jean right there.
Yeah. Really good stuff. Just another harsh noise artist that I think people should check out. Moving on. This is Wonderful Rainbow by the band Lightning Bolt. For those of you unfamiliar, Lightning Bolt is a two-piece. Help me out here. What genre are they? Noise rock, I guess. What stands out about them is that their drummer, who is insane, does not utilize a hi-hat. He has made an entire catalog with never using a hi-hat. They both wear these masks that are outfitted with contact mics, and those mics are put through all these vocal effects that almost make you forget they're singing. This almost made it into my favorite instrumental pick today because the vocals just don't sound like vocals. They don't use traditional microphones that you might be used to. They really do take their vocal contacts and turn it into a third instrument, as you will. This is just one of my favorite records in their catalog. I remember in my early youth special ordering this from Sam Goody in Montgomery Mall because back then that's how we got hard to find records. But yeah, Wonderful Rainbow by Lightning Bolt. Moving on, let's talk about some grindcore. My favorite grindcore record, Shift by Nasum.
Yes.
I have some of these symbols tattooed on me. This record means so much to me. I unfortunately never got to see the true lineup of Nasum. I only got to see that 2012 reunion they did with the singer of Rotten Sound, because their original singer Miesco, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Miesco passed away during the exactly, tsunami in Thailand. But this entire record is just gold. Again, not really everyone's go-to record as far as Nasum records. Usually people go to Inhale Exhale, which is a great record, just a little bit not as clean as Shift. Shift is really what made me fall in love with Nasum. Yeah, probably my favorite grindcore record, Shift by Nasum. Moving on. let's talk about the death metal, and that is going to be None So Vile by Cryptopsy. They've had a lot of eras, but the one that everyone knows them for is when Lord Worm was singing with them. He's not the he doesn't pronounce lyrics very well at all. He's one of the dirtiest singers at all. When you think of pronunciation, this is not where you go to, and that's what I love about it. Like the lyrics, which are brutal as hell, he just doesn't give a fuck. One of my early memories is seeing Lord Worm eating worms at Jack's in Springfield, Virginia, way back when.
I turned him down.
You turned him down?
I don't want to fucking eat a worm. Are you kidding me?
Oh no! During a Cryptopsy set, I would make an exception. I was sitting in the back, so I guess I'll send you footage later, Jeff. But as far as the death metal goes, Cryptopsy, None So Vile. That's my go-to.
Very nice.
Slit Your Guts, like that's probably going to be. Yeah, that's going to be.
Those lyrics in that song are ridiculous.
It's
Slit Your Guts.
It's almost glad it's. I'm almost glad it's a little unpronounceable because it's not as in your face. But it's just so brutal. It's just so brutal. This record. This is also like I talked a little bit too much about the vocals, but the instrumentals, especially the drums, it doesn't sound like it's a drummer. It sounds like a drummer with 8 arms. It doesn't even sound like 2 drummers. It sounds like a monster is playing drums on this record. It didn't sound like, a drummer playing through a delay pedal. Flo, help me out with his last name. Yeah, thank you. Definitely one of the most underrated drummers in the universe. And this is a pretty good example of why. He has a very, very intimidating drum kit.
Yeah, I was gonna say he used to perform with the Cage.
Like in a cage.
I saw them twice in one year perform that album, and both times he had like the cage set up, like the cymbals were hanging from above his head.
Right. I knew the cymbals were hanging upside down, but I didn't think he had like an actual cage. Like
he was like it was like he was in a little cage because he had like the rack hanging from everywhere. But I've seen that twice in one year, and then I saw them perform that album with somebody else on vocals many years later.
No, it must take hours to set that damn kid up. But yeah, very, very intimidating drummer.
He doesn't have to do it.
Yeah, true.
He's a nice guy. I've met him a couple times.
Oh hell yeah,
great guy.
All right, last one I'm going to do. Last one is going to be "Howling for the Nightmare Shall Consume" by Integrity. Integrity, one of my favorite bands in the universe. This lineup. I should say there's really only 2 people on this record, Dwid and Dom. Oh, I should say 3. Dwid, Dom, and Josh on drums. And there's helpers here and there, but they're really the core of this record. I will go ahead and mention this Easter egg before I forget. When you open the record, it's a scene from This Is Hardcore 2017. And if you look super closely, you'll see me right there, standing behind the amps.
Very cool.
Yeah, but I think this is hardcore. I'm not doing anything other than being
a dude on stage.
Yeah, being a piece of artwork on stage. But yeah, if you the songs are great, the tones are great. You can tell that there are just layers upon layers of guitar tracks on this record. I was lucky enough to catch a little glimpse of the insane pedal boards and plural on that that they use on this record. But there's a lot of tone chasing that Dom absolutely nails on this record.
Shout out to Dom.
A389
for life.
For life.
Yeah. This was this particular pressing came out on Relapse. But yeah, one of the greatest records ever recorded. Yeah. Howling for the Nightmare Shall Consume. And that's all I got. That's not all I got, but that's all I got for this foreseeable future.
Fuck yeah.
Very nice, Chaw.
No, thank you. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure.
Pleasure's all ours, man. We've been waiting to do this episode for a while, and we're really happy we finally got this one out of the way. And when we do future episodes, we would definitely like to have you back on for some certain
I'll be
particular
honored to be your first part 2.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So let's not even end this episode. Let's just put to be continued at the bottom.
Jeff can edit that in at the end for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do a little Marvel Films action, just to be continued. I really could have gone for hours more, and I really whittled it down to just a few core. But I'm very, very stoked to have an outlet to memorialize my collection that just isn't Discogs. So thank you, fellas.
Cheers. Well, fuck yeah, Alex. Thank you for being on our show, and yeah, we will definitely do another one with you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as we don't do any more snot rarities, because
I mean, they
furious anger.
I know what to get you for Christmas now.
Yeah.
A picture of that.
Yeah, I will get
picture of that.
I will get you my address immediately. But no, Alex, thank you for doing this with us. I'm glad we were able to make time for this and get all three of our schedules together to do this. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been trying to coordinate this for a while with Alex. I know you're a busy guy with work and practice, and you went to Europe for a while there, but yeah, we're very happy to have you on because, like I said, you're an old friend of mine. About 21 years we've known each other. So
Jesus. What episode number is this?
This is number 18. I don't know if you can see the title in the top corner there. It says Cha, right? All right. Anyhow, thank you everybody for listening or watching this episode. We appreciate you tuning in every week. Thank you, Cha.
Thank you.
We will see you guys next week.
Hell yeah.
See you guys.